Hello there and welcome to the Sleepy Science Place. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you've been tossing and turning, maybe you've been scrolling too long, or maybe you're just the kind of person who finds comfort in understanding the very thing you're about to do. Drift into sleep. Whatever brought you here, you're exactly where you need to be. Tonight, we're going to explore something wonderfully paradoxical, the science of sleep itself. We're going to wander through the soft corridors of research and discovery, through the quiet laboratories where scientists have spent decades unraveling the mystery of why we close our eyes, and where we go when we do. There's something deeply comforting about understanding sleep, don't you think? It's like learning the language of something you've been speaking your entire life without ever knowing the words. So go ahead and settle in. Adjust your pillow, pull your blanket a little higher, let your shoulders drop away from your ears. There's no test at the end of this, no facts you need to memorize. This is just for you, just for tonight, just for this moment of letting go. If you're enjoying this journey already, feel free to subscribe and give this video a like. It helps others find their way to this peaceful place too. But don't worry about it too much. The only thing that matters right now is that you're here, breathing softly, ready to explore the beautiful science of sleep while sleep itself finds you. Tonight's journey will be gentle and slow, filled with discoveries that feel less like learning and more like remembering something you always knew. So close your eyes if you'd like, or keep them soft and unfocused. Let's begin this voyage together into the most relaxing facts about sleep science, told like bedtime stories, whispered like secrets from the universe about why rest is written into the very fabric of what it means to be alive. Every single living creature with a nervous system sleeps in some form, from the smallest fruit fly to the largest whale drifting through midnight oceans. This isn't coincidence or luxury, it's necessity woven into biology itself. Scientists have searched for exceptions, hoping to find some tireless organism that defies this rule, but they always come back to the same gentle truth. Sleep is universal. Even jellyfish, those ancient drifters without brains as we know them, enter sleep-like states where they become less responsive to the world around them. There's something profoundly comforting in this, isn't there? The knowledge that when you close your eyes tonight, you're participating in a ritual as old as complex life itself, a pattern written in the earliest codes of existence, a reminder that rest isn't weakness or waste, it's fundamental. Your brain during sleep is not resting in the way you might imagine. It's not powered down or idle. Instead, it's engaged in some of its most important work, tasks it simply cannot accomplish while you're awake. Think of it like a city after midnight when the streets empty and the maintenance crews emerge. During sleep, your brain consolidates memories, moving experiences from temporary storage into long-term archives. It strengthens neural connections that help you learn, weakens ones you don't need, and quite literally washes itself clean through a system called the glymphatic system. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through channels in your brain, flushing out metabolic waste products that accumulated during waking hours. This cleansing happens primarily during sleep, when your brain cells actually shrink slightly to allow better fluid flow. So when you sleep, you're not checking out, you're cleaning house. Humans are among the few mammals who deliberately delay sleep, something researchers call voluntary sleep deprivation. Most animals sleep whenever their biology demands it, but we humans have invented reasons to stay awake. Electric lights, late night entertainment, one more episode, one more email. Yet our bodies haven't evolved to match our modern schedules. We still carry the ancient sleep architecture of our ancestors, people who rose with the sun and settled as darkness painted the sky. There's a gentle rebellion in honoring that old rhythm, in recognizing that your desire for sleep isn't something to fight but something to welcome. Your body knows what it needs, and it's been trying to tell you in the language of yawns and heavy eyelids since long before alarm clocks existed. Sleep happens in cycles, each lasting roughly 90 minutes, and each cycle contains different stages that serve different purposes. You don't simply turn off when you fall asleep. You descend through layers like a diver moving deeper into calm water. First comes light sleep, where you hover near consciousness, easily awakened by small sounds. Then deeper sleep arrives, where your body temperature drops and your heart rate slows. Finally, you reach REM sleep, where your eyes move rapidly beneath closed lids and your brain creates the vivid theaters we call dreams. Then the cycle begins again, and you'll travel through these stages multiple times before morning. Each cycle matters, each stage serves you. There's no rushing this process, no shortcuts. Your body knows the route by heart and will guide you through if you simply let go. During deep sleep stages, your body releases growth hormone, which despite its name isn't just for children growing taller. This hormone helps repair tissues, build bone and muscle, and strengthen your immune system. It's when your body patches the small damages of daily life, the microscopic tears and muscle fibers from movement, the cellular wear from simply existing. Young children spend more time in deep sleep than adults do, which makes sense given how much growing and developing they're doing. But even as an adult, you need this restorative phase. Every night your sleeping body is quietly healing itself, knitting together what the day unraveled, preparing you for whatever tomorrow brings. There's a kind of magic in that, the idea that rest itself is a form of medicine, that lying still with closed eyes is active healing. Your sleep needs are as unique as your fingerprints, and despite what you might have heard, not everyone needs exactly 8 hours. Some people thrive on 7, others need 9, and a rare few function beautifully on 6 or 10. The key isn't hitting some arbitrary number. It's waking naturally, feeling refreshed, and maintaining that energy through your day. Sleep scientists talk about sleep efficiency, which is less about duration and more about quality, about how much of your time in bed is actually spent sleeping versus lying awake. Tonight, as you listen to these facts, you might drift off after 20 minutes or after an hour, and both are perfectly fine. There's no wrong way to fall asleep, no timer measuring your success. Your body will take what it needs when you create the space for it, and that space is exactly what you're creating right now. The concept of a single 8-hour sleep block is actually quite modern, and may not reflect how humans naturally slept for most of history. Before electric lighting, many societies practiced what historians call segmented sleep, 2 distinct sleep periods separated by an hour or 2 of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night. People would sleep for 3 or 4 hours, wake naturally, and use that dark midnight time for reflection, conversation, prayer, or simply lying peacefully in bed. Then they drift back into a second sleep that carried them to dawn. References to first sleep and second sleep appear throughout historical texts, suggesting this pattern was once completely normal. So if you sometimes wake in the night and worry that something's wrong, consider that you might be experiencing an ancient pattern, not a modern problem. That quiet wakefulness can be a gift rather than a curse. Your circadian rhythm, your internal biological clock, runs on a cycle slightly longer than 24 hours, usually about 24 hours and 15 minutes. This means your body's natural tendency is to drift later each day, which is why staying up late often feels easier than waking early. We sync this internal clock to the external world primarily through light exposure, especially the blue wavelengths present in morning sunlight. This is why watching the sunrise, even for a few minutes, can help regulate your sleep schedule far more effectively than any alarm clock. Your eyes contain special cells that detect light and send signals directly to the brain's master clock, telling it whether to promote wakefulness or prepare for sleep. It's a beautiful system, really. Your body trying to harmonize with the spinning of the planet, with day and night, with rhythms older than humanity itself. Temperature plays a surprisingly crucial role in sleep, and your body has very specific thermal needs for optimal rest. To fall asleep, your core body temperature needs to drop by about 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit. This is why a cool room, somewhere between 60 and 67 degrees, is ideal for most people. It's also why a warm bath before bed can help you sleep. The bath heats you up, but when you get out, your body rapidly cools down, mimicking the natural temperature drop that signals sleep time. Your hands and feet dilate their blood vessels to release heat, which is why cold feet can actually keep you awake. There's something wonderfully physical about all this. A reminder that sleep isn't just mental, it's deeply embodied, rooted in the temperature of your skin and the cooling of your core. Dreams occur primarily during REM sleep, but not exclusively. You can dream in other stages too, though those dreams tend to be less vivid and bizarre. During REM, your brain is remarkably active, showing electrical patterns similar to waking states, yet your body is essentially paralyzed except for your eyes and breathing muscles. This temporary paralysis is a safety mechanism, preventing you from acting out your dreams. Scientists still debate why we dream at all, but many believe dreams help process emotions, consolidate memories, and work through problems in abstract, symbolic ways. Some researchers think of dreams as your brain's theater, where memories and emotions are remixed into new combinations, helping you understand experiences and prepare for future challenges. Whether you remember them or not, your dreams are quietly doing their work, and that work continues even as you forget the strange stories your sleeping mind invented. The sensation of falling just as you're drifting off, that sudden jerk that startles you awake, is called a hypnic jerk, and it's completely normal and harmless. Scientists aren't entirely sure why it happens, but one theory suggests it's a remnant of our tree-dwelling ancestors, whose brains may have interpreted the muscle relaxation of falling asleep as literally falling from a branch, triggering a reflex to catch themselves. Another theory is that it's simply a misfire as your nervous system transitions from wakefulness to sleep, like the hiccup of an engine switching gears. Whatever the cause, hypnic jerks happen to most people occasionally and are nothing to worry about. They're just another quirk of your ancient brain navigating the boundary between waking and dreaming, a tiny reminder of how complex and old the systems governing your sleep truly are. Your need for sleep doesn't actually accumulate in a simple way. It's not like a gas tank that empties evenly and refills the same. Instead, sleep pressure builds according to something called sleep debt, which your body tracks through a chemical called adenosine that accumulates in your brain while you're awake. The longer you stay awake, the more adenosine builds up, creating that heavy, foggy feeling of sleepiness. When you sleep, your brain clears the adenosine and sleep pressure drops. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors, temporarily masking that sleepiness without actually reducing the underlying debt. This is why when caffeine wears off, tiredness often crashes over you suddenly. The adenosine was there all along, just waiting to be felt. Understanding this can bring a kind of peace. Your sleepiness isn't arbitrary or something to fight. It's your body's honest signal, a chemical message saying it's time to rest. Newborn babies don't have established circadian rhythms, which is why they wake every few hours regardless of whether it's day or night. Their sleep is almost entirely driven by hunger and immediate needs, not by any internal clock synced to sunlight. It takes several months for the circadian system to mature, for babies to begin distinguishing day from night, and consolidating their sleep into longer stretches. Even then, children naturally have different sleep schedules than adults. Toddlers and young children tend to wake earlier and tire earlier, while teenagers experience a biological shift toward later sleep and wake times. This isn't laziness or rebellion, it's biology. The adolescent brain releases melatonin later in the evening, making it genuinely difficult for teenagers to fall asleep before 11 or midnight. Knowing this can bring compassion for others and yourself, recognizing that sleep patterns change across a lifetime, and what feels natural at 20 might feel impossible at 40. Melatonin, often called the hormone of darkness, is produced by your pineal gland in response to evening darkness. It doesn't make you sleep directly. Instead, it signals to your body that it's nighttime and sleep should follow soon. Melatonin levels begin rising a few hours before your usual bedtime, peak in the middle of the night, and decline toward morning. Light exposure, especially blue light from screens, suppresses melatonin production, which is why scrolling through your phone before bed can make falling asleep more difficult. But here's something gentle to consider. Darkness itself is a gift, not just the absence of light but the presence of a signal that tells every cell in your body that rest is near. When you dim the lights in your home as evening deepens, you're working with millions of years of evolution, helping your body recognize the ancient rhythm of day turning to night. Sleep deprivation affects your brain in ways that are surprisingly similar to alcohol intoxication. Being awake for 18 hours straight produces impairments comparable to having a blood alcohol content of 0.05%. And 24 hours without sleep is like being legally drunk. Reaction times slow, decision-making falters, emotional regulation weakens, and your ability to focus crumbles. Yet people often wear sleep deprivation like a badge of honor, proud of how little rest they need, not recognizing the hidden costs. Your judgment becomes unreliable when you're tired, which means you often can't accurately assess how impaired you actually are. But tonight, you're choosing differently. You're prioritizing rest, acknowledging that sleep isn't laziness but necessity, that a well-rested mind is clearer, kinder, and more capable than one running on willpower and caffeine alone. The sleep switch in your brain is a group of neurons in the hypothalamus that acts like a flip switch between wakefulness and sleep. When you're awake, certain neurons actively suppress sleep-promoting areas. When you fall asleep, the switch flips and sleep-promoting neurons suppress the wake-promoting ones. This system is beautifully simple in concept but remarkably complex in execution, involving dozens of neurotransmitters and brain regions. What's fascinating is that the switch is mutually inhibitory. Wake suppresses sleep, and sleep suppresses wake, which is why you're usually either clearly awake or clearly asleep, not stuck indefinitely in between. When you struggle with insomnia, it's often because this switch isn't flipping cleanly, leaving you suspended in that uncomfortable liminal space. But your brain knows how to flip that switch. It's done it thousands of times. Tonight, as you listen and relax, you're creating the conditions for that switch to flip naturally, effortlessly, in its own perfect time. Napping can be incredibly beneficial or disruptive depending on when and how long you nap. Short naps of 10 to 20 minutes, often called power naps, can boost alertness and performance without leaving you groggy. These brief rests don't allow you to enter deep sleep, so you wake refreshed rather than disoriented. Longer naps of 90 minutes allow you to complete a full sleep cycle, including REM sleep, which can enhance creativity and memory. The problematic range is 30 to 60 minutes, where you risk waking from deep sleep and experiencing sleep inertia, that thick grogginess that makes you feel worse than before you napped. If you're someone who naps, knowing these rhythms can help. But if you're lying here hoping for nighttime sleep, there's comfort in knowing that a full night's rest offers something no nap can match: the complete cycling through all sleep stages, the full orchestration of restoration and healing that only extended sleep provides. Snoring happens when airflow is partially obstructed during sleep, causing the tissues in your throat to vibrate. Nearly everyone snores occasionally, especially when sleeping on their back, when congested, or after drinking alcohol, all of which relax throat muscles or narrow airways. For most people, snoring is merely annoying rather than dangerous. However, loud, chronic snoring can sometimes indicate sleep apnea, a condition where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep, preventing truly restful rest. Sleep apnea keeps people cycling through lighter sleep stages without reaching the deep, restorative phases they need. If you or someone you love snores heavily and wakes unrefreshed despite spending adequate time in bed, it might be worth exploring with a doctor. But if you're listening to this and worried about your own occasional snoring, let that worry go. Most snoring is harmless, just another sound in the night, and worrying about it will disturb your sleep more than the snoring itself ever could. You're doing beautifully. There's no rush, nowhere else you need to be right now. If your mind has wandered, that's perfectly fine. That's what minds do, especially tired minds settling down for the night. Let your breathing be soft and easy. You don't need to control it, just notice it. The gentle rise and fall of your chest, the cool air moving in, the warm air moving out. Your body knows exactly what to do. It's been preparing for sleep since the moment you were born, practicing this letting go thousands of times. Trust that. Trust yourself. Let the facts we're exploring wash over you like waves, not demanding your attention but simply there if you want them, fading into pleasant background noise if you don't. Everything is exactly as it should be. Shift workers and people who frequently change time zones often experience something called social jet lag, a misalignment between their biological clock and their external schedule. Your body desperately wants to maintain consistent sleep and wake times, sync to natural light cycles, but modern life often demands otherwise. When you force yourself to sleep at times that contradict your circadian rhythm, sleep quality suffers even if the duration is adequate. This is why night shift workers have higher rates of certain health issues, not because nighttime sleep is inherently superior, but because maintaining consistent sleep-wake patterns is crucial. If you work unusual hours or travel often, there's kindness in acknowledging that your tiredness might not be personal failure but biological protest. Your body is trying to follow ancient patterns while you ask it to adapt to modern demands. That's genuinely difficult, and recognizing the difficulty is the first step toward finding sustainable solutions. Light isn't the only cue your circadian system uses. Eating patterns also help set your internal clock. When you eat tells your body about the time of day almost as powerfully as light exposure does. This is why eating late at night can disrupt sleep, not just because of digestion, but because food is a Zeitgeber, a time giver, signaling to your body that it should be awake and active. Some researchers suggest that maintaining consistent meal times might help regulate sleep schedules, especially when traveling across time zones. There's something almost poetic about it. The idea that breakfast is called that because you're breaking the fast of night, telling your body through food that daytime has arrived. Tonight, as your last meal settles and digests, your body is receiving another signal that active hours are ending and rest is approaching. All these signals working together, all these systems harmonizing to guide you towards sleep. The amount of sleep you need changes across your lifetime, gradually decreasing from infancy through adulthood before stabilizing. Newborns might sleep 14 to 17 hours daily. Toddlers need 11 to 14, school-aged children need 9 to 12, and most adults thrive on 7 to 9. Older adults often need similar amounts to younger adults, but frequently get less due to changes in sleep architecture. Lighter sleep, more frequent awakenings, earlier wake times. This doesn't mean older adults need less sleep. It means aging can make sleep more fragile and difficult to maintain. Understanding this can bring patience with yourself or elderly loved ones. Sleep struggles often aren't choices or failures. They're the natural result of brains and bodies changing across the decades. But the need for rest remains constant, even when achieving it becomes more challenging. Sleep debt can be partially recovered, but it's not a simple one-to-one transaction. If you lose an hour of sleep on Tuesday, sleeping an extra hour on Wednesday helps but doesn't completely erase the deficit. Some effects of sleep deprivation can be reversed with adequate recovery sleep. Mood improves, focus sharpens, performance rebounds. But some consequences, especially from chronic sleep loss, may have more lasting impacts. This isn't meant to worry you, but to highlight that sleep is genuinely important, worth protecting, worth prioritizing. The good news is that starting tonight, starting right now, you can begin treating sleep as the precious resource it is. Every night of adequate rest is an investment in your health, your mind, your mood, and your future. And tonight is already unfolding exactly as it should, with you here, breathing softly, giving yourself permission to rest. Animals have evolved fascinating sleep adaptations, suited to their ecological niches. Dolphins and some other marine mammals practice unihemispheric sleep, where one half of their brain sleeps while the other remains awake, allowing them to surface for air and watch for predators even while resting. Some birds do this too, especially during long migrations, one eye open, one brain hemisphere awake, flying and sleeping simultaneously. Horses and elephants can sleep standing up during lighter sleep stages but need to lie down for REM sleep. Bats sleep upside down, sloths sleep hanging from trees, and sea otters hold hands while sleeping so they don't drift apart. There's something wonderfully reassuring about all this diversity. There's no single correct way to sleep. Evolution has invented countless solutions, each perfect for its context. You too will find the sleep that fits you, the position and pattern that works for your body, your life, your unique needs. The golden hour before sleep, how you spend that last hour before bed, profoundly influences how quickly you fall asleep and how well you sleep. Activities that gently transition you from the stimulation of day toward the quiet of night work best. Dimming lights, taking a warm shower, reading, gentle stretching, listening to calming content. Conversely, intense exercise, bright screens, stressful conversations, or stimulating entertainment can delay sleep onset and reduce sleep quality. You're essentially creating a runway for sleep, a gradual descent rather than an abrupt drop. Right now, you're in that golden hour whether you realize it or not. You've chosen to spend this time in a space designed for calm, for softness, for the gentle transition your body craves. That choice matters. That choice is already working, already guiding you toward the rest you need and deserve. Your sleeping position might reveal something about your personality, or it might simply be what your body finds comfortable. Scientists debate how much meaning to assign to sleep postures. Side sleeping is most common, especially the fetal position with knees drawn up. Back sleeping is less common but can be beneficial for spine alignment, though it may worsen snoring. Stomach sleeping is the least common and can strain the neck and back. Some people stay in one position all night, while others move frequently, shifting positions dozens of times without remembering. These movements help prevent pressure sores and keep blood flowing properly. Your body has wisdom built into its unconscious movements, making tiny adjustments throughout the night to keep you comfortable and safe. You don't need to consciously choose the perfect position. Your sleeping body already knows what it needs and will move accordingly. Sleep paralysis, though frightening when it happens, is actually a normal part of REM sleep. It's just that usually you're not conscious during it. During REM, your brain paralyses your voluntary muscles to prevent you from acting out dreams. Occasionally, people become aware before the paralysis lifts, finding themselves awake but temporarily unable to move or speak. This can last from a few seconds to a couple of minutes, and sometimes includes hallucinations or a feeling of pressure on the chest. Cultures throughout history have interpreted sleep paralysis through the lens of their beliefs, demons, spirits, or supernatural experiences. But the scientific explanation, while less dramatic, is actually reassuring. It's just a timing mismatch, your consciousness waking before your body's movement controls reactivate. If it happens to you, remember it's temporary and harmless, just an awkward overlap between sleep stages, nothing more. The military developed a technique to help soldiers fall asleep quickly even in stressful conditions, and it reportedly works for 96% of people after 6 weeks of practice. The method is simple. Relax your facial muscles, then systematically relax your body from shoulders downward, release tension from legs, clear your mind by picturing a peaceful scene, and if thoughts intrude, repeat, don't think for 10 seconds. The entire process takes about 2 minutes once mastered. What makes this technique powerful isn't any single step but the combination: physical relaxation, mental quieting, and a non-judgmental approach when the mind wanders. You don't have to practice it formally right now. Just hearing about it might naturally guide you toward relaxation, toward releasing tension you didn't know you were holding, toward that peaceful scene, perhaps a quiet lake or starlit sky, or wherever your mind finds stillness. Alcohol might make you feel sleepy and help you fall asleep faster, but it significantly disrupts sleep quality, especially in the second half of the night. Alcohol suppresses REM sleep initially and increases deeper sleep, but as your body metabolizes the alcohol, there's often a rebound effect: lighter, more fragmented sleep, more awakenings, and early morning waking. This is why people often wake at 3 or 4 in the morning after drinking, feeling alert despite only sleeping a few hours. Alcohol also relaxes throat muscles, increasing snoring and sleep apnea likelihood. This doesn't mean occasional alcohol ruins everything, but understanding the trade-off helps with expectations. If you've had a drink tonight and worry it will affect your sleep, let that worry go. Stressing about it is more disruptive than the alcohol itself. Your body will do its best regardless, and worrying won't change what's already done. Just breathe, relax, and trust the process. The feeling of being too tired to sleep is a real phenomenon where exhaustion paradoxically makes falling asleep more difficult. This usually happens when you're overtired, and your body has triggered a stress response, releasing cortisol and adrenaline to keep you functional despite fatigue. Your nervous system is revved up, stuck in a sympathetic state, unable to shift into the parasympathetic mode necessary for sleep. It's frustrating and uncomfortable, but understanding it can help. The solution isn't to try harder to sleep, that increases stress, but to gently coax your nervous system down through slow breathing, progressive relaxation, or comforting distractions like this video. If that's where you are right now, tangled in exhaustion and alertness, know that it will pass. Your body wants to sleep. It's just momentarily confused about how to get there, and that's okay. You're doing the right thing by being here, by giving yourself time and gentleness. Microsleeps are brief episodes of sleep lasting from a fraction of a second to 30 seconds, where your brain simply shuts off momentarily, even though your eyes might be open. These happen most often when you're severely sleep deprived, typically without you even realizing it. For a moment, you lose time. A few seconds disappear and you can't account for them. Microsleeps are particularly dangerous when driving or operating machinery because you're genuinely unconscious even though you appear awake. Your brain is desperately trying to get the sleep it needs, stealing moments wherever possible. If you've experienced these, it's your body's urgent message that you need proper rest. But tonight, you don't need to steal moments. Tonight, you have permission for real sleep, extended and uninterrupted, the kind where microsleeps are unnecessary because you're giving your brain the full rest it's asking for. What a gift that is to yourself from yourself. White noise, steady, unchanging sound like a fan or rain, can help some people sleep by masking disruptive environmental noises and providing a consistent auditory backdrop. Your brain tends to notice changes in sound. A quiet room punctuated by occasional cars or voices draws attention, keeping you alert. White noise provides auditory camouflage, making those sudden sounds less noticeable. However, it doesn't work for everyone. Some people find any noise disruptive and sleep better in complete silence. There's no right answer, just different nervous systems with different needs. What matters is discovering what works for you, not what works for others. Maybe it's white noise, maybe it's silence, maybe it's videos like this one where a calm voice speaks softly about fascinating things. Whatever helps your particular brain release into sleep is the right choice, regardless of what studies or other people say. The two-process model of sleep regulation explains your sleepiness through the interaction of two systems. Sleep pressure, process S, which builds the longer you're awake, and your circadian rhythm, process C, which follows a roughly 24-hour cycle. When these align, high sleep pressure at the time your circadian rhythm dips towards sleep, falling asleep is easy. When they conflict, high sleep pressure but circadian alertness, or low sleep pressure during your circadian dip, sleep becomes difficult. This explains why you might feel exhausted yet unable to sleep if you try to go to bed much earlier than usual, or why a short nap can make nighttime sleep elusive. Understanding these two processes can bring patience with yourself. Sometimes difficulty sleeping isn't personal failure, but simply these two systems momentarily out of sync. They'll align again, perhaps tonight, perhaps tomorrow, but eventually, they always do. Your bed should ideally be reserved for sleep and intimacy, not work, eating, or watching television. This advice stems from classical conditioning. When you consistently use your bed for sleep, your brain learns to associate bed with sleep, making the transition easier. If you do many wakeful activities in bed, that association weakens, and your bed becomes a place where your brain expects alertness. This is why sleep specialists often advise leaving the bedroom if you can't fall asleep within 20 minutes, doing something calming elsewhere, then returning when sleepy. The goal is strengthening the bed-equals-sleep association. But if you live in a small space where your bed is also your couch, or if leaving bed feels impossible right now, don't worry about it. These are guidelines, not rules, and plenty of people sleep beautifully in beds where they also read, work, and live. Do what works for your situation, and trust your own experience over any guideline. Sleepwalking and sleep talking occur during non-REM deep sleep, when the usual paralysis of REM isn't active but consciousness isn't fully present either. People who sleepwalk or talk are in a strange hybrid state, capable of complex behaviors like walking or speaking, but without awareness or later memory of these actions. Sleepwalking is more common in children than adults, and tends to run in families, suggesting a genetic component. It's triggered by sleep deprivation, stress, fever, or certain medications. Despite popular belief, it's not dangerous to wake a sleepwalker, though they might be confused or disoriented. What's fascinating is what this reveals about consciousness, how you can perform actions without being truly awake, how your brain can activate motor systems and speech without engaging awareness. It's a reminder that sleep isn't a simple on-off switch, but a spectrum of states, each with its own qualities and quirks. The best time to go to bed isn't a fixed hour, but rather the time when your personal sleep pressure and circadian rhythm naturally align, which varies by individual. Some people are genuine morning larks, naturally waking early and tiring early, while others are night owls, alert late and sleeping late. This isn't about discipline or laziness. It's about chronotype, your genetic predisposition towards certain sleep-wake timing. Forcing a night owl to wake at 6 in the morning is biologically similar to forcing a morning lark to stay up until 2 a.m. Difficult, unpleasant, and not sustainable long-term. Modern society tends to favor morning chronotypes with early school and work start times, but neither type is superior. If you can, honor your natural rhythms. Go to bed when your body truly feels ready for sleep, not when the clock suggests you should. And if life demands you wake earlier than feels natural, be gentle with yourself about the tiredness that follows. Sleep inertia, that thick grogginess upon waking, is strongest when you wake from deep sleep, which is why waking from a nap can sometimes leave you feeling worse than before. Your brain needs time to transition from sleep to full wakefulness, usually about 15 to 30 minutes. During this period, cognitive performance is impaired, reaction times are slow, and mood can be irritable. This is normal and temporary. The best way to minimize sleep inertia is to wake during lighter sleep stages, which is why sleep tracking apps and some alarm clocks try to wake you during optimal windows. Natural waking without an alarm also tends to occur during lighter sleep, which is why you generally feel better waking naturally than being jolted awake by an alarm from deep sleep. But if you must use an alarm, know that the grogginess will lift. Give yourself grace and time, maybe some morning light or gentle movement, and your brain will complete its transition from sleep to wake. Let your jaw relax. You might not have realized you were clenching it, but chances are there was tension there and you can let it go now. Let your tongue rest softly in your mouth, not pressed against your teeth. Let your eyelids be heavy. No effort to keep them open or closed, just let them be whatever feels most comfortable. Your body is sinking into your bed, held and supported. Gravity is doing the work. You don't have to hold yourself up, don't have to control anything. Just be here, breathing, listening if you want to, or drifting if that's what's happening. There are more facts ahead, more gentle discoveries, but they'll be there whether you hear them consciously or not. You're safe. You're exactly where you should be. Exercise generally improves sleep quality, but timing matters. Vigorous exercise too close to bedtime can be stimulating and delay sleep onset. This is because exercise raises core body temperature and increases alertness, both counterproductive to falling asleep. However, regular physical activity, especially aerobic exercise, deepens sleep and can help you fall asleep faster, particularly if done in the morning or afternoon. Exercise also helps regulate circadian rhythms, reduces anxiety and depression, both common sleep disruptors, and tires the body in a satisfying way. Even gentle movement like walking or stretching can help. The key is consistency and timing. Regular movement earlier in the day rather than intense workouts right before bed. But if evening is your only time to exercise, don't abandon it. For many people, the benefits outweigh any temporary alertness, and bodies adapt. Do what fits your life, and trust that moving your body in any way is almost always better than not moving it at all. Sleep is when your immune system does some of its most important work, producing and releasing cytokines that help fight infection and inflammation. When you're sick, you often feel overwhelmingly sleepy because your body is redirecting energy toward healing, essentially asking you to rest so it can focus on fighting whatever is making you ill. Studies show that people who consistently get insufficient sleep are more vulnerable to viruses like the common cold. Conversely, adequate sleep strengthens immune function, making you more resilient. There's deep wisdom in the old advice to sleep it off when you're not feeling well. Your body knows what it's doing, knows what it needs, and when it asks for rest, that request is legitimate and important. Tonight, even if you're perfectly healthy, you're strengthening your immune system simply by lying here, letting sleep arrive in its own time. Every moment of rest is your body's opportunity to maintain, repair, and prepare. The placebo effect works for sleep too. If you believe you slept well, even if you didn't, you'll often perform better and feel better the next day. Researchers have found that people's perception of their sleep quality sometimes matters more than objective measurements. This doesn't mean sleep isn't important, it absolutely is, but it highlights how powerful your mind is, how your beliefs shape your experience. If you wake feeling like you slept terribly, telling yourself that over and over can actually make you function worse, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Conversely, if you wake and choose to focus on whatever rest you did get, acknowledging it as enough, your day often goes better than expected. This isn't about toxic positivity or pretending sleep deprivation doesn't matter. It's about recognizing that your narrative matters, that how you interpret your sleep influences your reality, and that gentleness with yourself is always more productive than harsh judgment. Weighted blankets have become popular sleep aids, and research suggests they can genuinely help some people by providing deep pressure stimulation, which promotes relaxation through the release of serotonin and dopamine while reducing cortisol. The gentle, even pressure can feel comforting and grounding, similar to a hug, helping anxious minds settle. However, they don't work for everyone. Some people find them constraining or overheating. Weight matters too. The general recommendation is about 10% of your body weight, enough to feel present but not crushing. If you've tried a weighted blanket and didn't like it, that's fine. If you haven't tried one but struggle with sleep anxiety, it might be worth exploring. But if you're lying under a regular blanket right now, that's perfectly wonderful too. Any blanket that makes you feel safe and comfortable is the right blanket. The best sleep tool is whatever helps your particular nervous system release into rest. Lucid dreaming, becoming aware that you're dreaming while still asleep, is a real phenomenon that some people experience spontaneously and others learn to cultivate through practice. During lucid dreams, you can sometimes control the dream's narrative or simply observe with awareness that this is a dream. Research shows that lucid dreaming occurs during REM sleep, and brain scans reveal activity patterns distinct from both normal dreaming and waking. Some people use techniques like reality checks, regularly asking yourself while awake, "Am I dreaming?" or keeping dream journals to increase lucid dream frequency. It's fascinating to think about. A state where you're simultaneously asleep and aware, where consciousness visits the dream world without fully leaving sleep behind. Whether you lucid dream or not, whether you remember your dreams or not, those dreams are happening, weaving their strange stories, doing their mysterious work in the sleeping theater of your mind. Chronotherapy is a technique used for severe insomnia or circadian rhythm disorders, where you gradually shift your sleep schedule by going to bed progressively later each day until you've rotated around the clock to your desired bedtime. It sounds counterintuitive, fixing sleep problems by staying up even later, but it works with your circadian rhythm's natural tendency to drift later rather than forcing it earlier, which is much harder. For example, if you can't fall asleep until 4 in the morning, you might start by going to bed at 6 a.m., then 8, then 10, then noon, gradually rotating until you reach 10 p.m. or your target bedtime. This approach requires dedication and several days where you can control your schedule completely, so it's not practical for everyone. But it illustrates an important principle. Sometimes the path to better sleep isn't forcing yourself into a pattern, but gently guiding your body's natural rhythms toward where you want them, working with your biology rather than against it. The concept of beauty sleep has scientific backing. Skin repair and regeneration happen primarily during sleep. Growth hormone released during deep sleep stimulates cell reproduction and tissue repair, including skin cells. Blood flow to the skin increases during sleep, helping repair UV damage and produce collagen, which prevents wrinkles and sagging. Chronic sleep deprivation shows in your face. Puffy eyes, dark circles, paler skin, more wrinkles, and drooping corners of the mouth. Studies have even shown that sleep-deprived people are perceived as less attractive and less healthy by others. This isn't vanity, it's biology. Your appearance reflects your internal health, and sleep is fundamental to that health. So when you prioritize sleep, you're not just feeling better, you're literally glowing better, healing better, aging more gracefully. Tonight, as you rest, your skin is working, your cells are regenerating, and you're waking tomorrow not just refreshed but renewed. Sleep deprivation impairs glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity, which is why chronic sleep loss is associated with increased risk of type 2 diabetes. Even a few nights of poor sleep can affect how your body processes sugar. Sleep deprivation also increases ghrelin, the hormone that signals hunger, while decreasing leptin, which signals fullness, making you feel hungrier and less satisfied after eating. This is why tired people often crave high-calorie, high-carbohydrate foods. Your body is seeking quick energy to compensate for exhaustion. The connection between sleep and metabolism is profound and bidirectional. Poor sleep affects eating and weight, while obesity can worsen sleep through issues like apnea. None of this is meant to shame anyone about their sleep or body, only to highlight how interconnected these systems are. How taking care of sleep is taking care of your metabolic health, and how every night of good rest is an investment in your body's ability to function well. Nightmare disorder, where frequent disturbing dreams cause significant distress or sleep disruption, is often linked to stress, trauma, or anxiety. While everyone has occasional nightmares, people with PTSD or anxiety disorders experience them more frequently and intensely. Image rehearsal therapy, where you consciously reimagine nightmares with different, less frightening endings while awake, can reduce nightmare frequency and intensity. This works because dreams are partially influenced by waking thoughts, and rehearsing different narratives can shift the patterns. If you struggle with nightmares, there's help available, and you don't have to simply endure them as inevitable. But if you occasionally have bad dreams, that's normal, part of how your brain processes fear and stress. Nightmares, though unpleasant, are often your mind's attempt to work through difficult emotions, to rehearse threatening scenarios in a safe space, to process what troubles you. Even nightmares in their way serve you. The first night effect describes how people often sleep worse the first night in a new place, a hotel, a friend's house, anywhere unfamiliar. Research shows that one hemisphere of your brain stays slightly more alert than the other during first night's sleep in new environments, similar to how dolphins sleep. This asymmetry is thought to be an evolutionary vestige, a mild vigilant system watching for potential dangers in unfamiliar territory. By the second or third night, this effect typically disappears and both hemispheres sleep normally. It's why frequent travelers often feel perpetually jet-lagged and sleep-deprived. They're experiencing first-night effects repeatedly. If you've ever felt like you couldn't sleep somewhere new, it's not your imagination or anxiety alone. It's an ancient protective mechanism, your brain trying to keep you safe. The good news is, if you're listening to this in your own bed, your brain already knows this place is safe, familiar, yours. Sleep spindles, bursts of rapid brain wave activity lasting a second or two during stage 2 sleep, are associated with memory consolidation and learning. People who show more sleep spindles tend to have better memory performance, and the number of spindles increases after intensive learning. Your brain is quite literally reinforcing neural pathways while you sleep, replaying and strengthening the connections formed during the day. This is why studying before sleep, then sleeping on it, often leads to better retention than cramming all night. Sleep isn't time lost to productivity. It's when your brain processes and preserves what you learned while awake. Every fact you've heard tonight, every experience you had today, your sleeping brain will sort through them, deciding what to keep, what to strengthen, what to file away. You don't have to try to make this happen. It's automatic, built into the architecture of sleep itself. Your brain quietly curating the library of your mind while you rest. Sleep and mental health are deeply interconnected, each influencing the other in powerful ways. Insomnia significantly increases the risk of developing depression, and depression often causes sleep disturbances, creating a difficult cycle. Anxiety frequently manifests as racing thoughts at bedtime, making it hard to fall asleep. Conversely, treating sleep problems can improve mood disorders, and treating mood disorders often improves sleep. This bidirectional relationship means that taking care of your sleep is taking care of your mental health, and vice versa. If you struggle with both, you're not alone and you're not broken. You're experiencing a recognized, treatable challenge. Small improvements in one area, sleep or mental health, often create improvements in the other, building positive momentum. Tonight, by choosing rest, by being gentle with yourself, you're caring for your mental health whether you realize it or not. That matters profoundly. How are you feeling? Heavy perhaps, peaceful, mind wandering, all of that is perfect. There's no right way to experience this moment. Some people are nearly asleep by now, others are still mentally present following along. Both are fine. What matters is that you're resting, that your body is in a comfortable position, that you're breathing easily. If you're feeling any discomfort, go ahead and adjust. Shift your pillow, roll to your other side, stretch out your legs. Your comfort is important. Once you're settled again, let yourself sink back down into stillness, into the softness of just being here, held by your bed, held by this moment, held by the simple fact that rest is your only job right now. Early morning light exposure is one of the most powerful tools for regulating your circadian rhythm and improving nighttime sleep. Just 15 to 30 minutes of bright light, ideally sunlight, within an hour of waking helps set your internal clock, telling your body it's daytime and suppressing lingering melatonin. This morning light exposure makes evening melatonin release more robust and timely, helping you feel naturally sleepy at bedtime. If you live somewhere with limited sunlight or wake before dawn, bright artificial light can work too, though sunlight is more effective because of its intensity and spectrum. This simple habit, morning light, can improve sleep more than almost any other intervention, yet it costs nothing and takes only minutes. It's a gift from your circadian biology, a free tool for better sleep just waiting outside your door each morning. Tomorrow, if you can, step outside briefly, face the eastern sky, and give your brain that signal it's waiting for. Sleep divorce, couples sleeping in separate beds or rooms, is becoming increasingly accepted and normalized, and for many couples it dramatically improves both sleep quality and relationship satisfaction. Differing sleep schedules, snoring, restlessness, temperature preferences, or simply needing personal space can all disrupt sleep when sharing a bed. Some couples worry that sleeping apart signals relationship problems, but often the opposite is true. Better sleep means better mood, patience, and connection during waking hours. There's no rule that says loving partners must share a sleeping space. What matters is that both people get the rest they need and maintain intimacy in ways that work for them. If you sleep alone, there's no reason to feel incomplete. Solo sleeping has real advantages, like controlling your environment completely. If you share a bed happily, that's wonderful. And if sharing a bed isn't working but guilt holds you back from suggesting separate spaces, maybe this is permission to have that conversation. Your sleep matters as much as anyone else's. The military's tactical nap, a brief sleep of 20 minutes or less, is used to maintain alertness and performance during extended operations. Research on soldiers, pilots, and others in high-stress situations shows these short naps significantly improve reaction time, vigilance, and mood without causing grogginess. The key is keeping them short enough to avoid entering deep sleep stages, but long enough to provide rest. NASA studied naps for pilots and found that a 26-minute nap improved performance by 34% and alertness by 54%. What's interesting is that Even if you don't fully fall asleep, the rest itself helps. Closing your eyes and relaxing for 20 minutes provides benefit even if you remain partially aware. So if you're someone who can't nap, you might still benefit from a brief rest period. Eyes closed, body still, mind quiet. Rest exists on a spectrum, and every point on that spectrum offers something valuable. Exploding head syndrome is a real sleep phenomenon that sounds alarming but is completely harmless. People experience a sudden loud noise, like an explosion, gunshot, crash, or slamming door, just as they're falling asleep or waking up, sometimes accompanied by a flash of light. Despite how it sounds, there's no pain, no actual noise, and no danger. It's essentially a benign glitch in the brain's transition between waking and sleeping, possibly related to neurons in the auditory system firing together randomly. It's more common during periods of stress or sleep deprivation. Most people who experience it do so rarely, though some have it frequently. The name is dramatic and unsettling, but the reality is just another quirk of your ancient brain navigating sleep's borders, another reminder of how complex and occasionally imperfect these systems are. If it happens to you, you can note it with curiosity rather than fear. Just a strange moment, nothing more. Sleep restriction therapy sounds counterintuitive, treating insomnia by deliberately limiting time in bed. But it's an evidence-based technique for chronic insomnia. The logic is that spending excessive time in bed while awake weakens the bed-sleep association and fragments sleep. By restricting time in bed to match actual sleep time, you consolidate sleep into a shorter, more efficient window, building sleep pressure that makes falling asleep easier. Gradually, as sleep efficiency improves, time in bed is increased until reaching optimal duration. This method requires guidance from a sleep specialist and shouldn't be attempted casually, because it involves deliberately inducing sleep deprivation initially, which can be dangerous for some people. But the principle is valuable. Sometimes more time in bed isn't better, and quality matters more than quantity. If you struggle with insomnia, this is one of several evidence-based approaches worth discussing with a professional. You don't have to suffer indefinitely. Effective treatments exist. Co-sleeping, parents and infants sharing a sleep surface, is practiced by most of the world's cultures but controversial in Western medicine due to suffocation and SIDS risks. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends room sharing, baby in same room but separate surface, rather than bed sharing. However, proponents of co-sleeping point out that when done safely, firm surface, no pillows or blankets near baby, no parental alcohol or drug use, non-smoking household, risks are lower, and benefits include easier breastfeeding and responsive comforting. Cultural context matters enormously. Sleeping practices that work in one context may not translate to another. This isn't about judging parents' choices, but acknowledging that sleep is culturally shaped, and there's rarely one universal right answer. Every family must weigh risks, benefits, and what allows everyone to sleep safely. If you're a parent making these difficult decisions, there's no perfect choice, only the choice that works best for your family's unique circumstances, made with the best information available. Sleepiness and fatigue are related but distinct experiences. Sleepiness is the urge to fall asleep, typically resolved by sleeping. Fatigue is physical or mental exhaustion, a tired weakness that persists even after adequate sleep. You can be sleepy without being fatigued, or fatigued without feeling sleepy. This distinction matters because treatments differ. Sleepiness usually improves with better sleep habits, while persistent fatigue might signal medical conditions like anemia, thyroid problems, chronic fatigue syndrome, or depression. If you regularly sleep adequate hours but still feel exhausted, it's worth investigating beyond just sleep. But if you feel genuinely sleepy, heavy-eyed, and ready to drift off, that's usually just your body asking for the simple remedy of rest. Listen to that signal. Your body generally knows what it needs, and when it asks for sleep, sleep is usually the answer. Tonight, if what you're feeling is sleepiness, you're in exactly the right place to address it. The scent of lavender has been shown in multiple studies to have mild sedative effects, promoting relaxation and improving sleep quality. The mechanism isn't entirely understood but likely involves the limbic system, the emotional center of your brain, which processes smell. Other scents like chamomile, jasmine, and sandalwood also show relaxing properties. Aromatherapy isn't a miracle cure, but for many people, it provides a pleasant, gentle boost to sleep routines. Scent is powerfully connected to memory and emotion, so even beyond any chemical effect, a familiar calming scent can signal to your brain that it's time for sleep. If you have a scent you associate with relaxation, using it consistently as part of your bedtime routine strengthens that association. And if you don't, that's perfectly fine too. Sleep happens successfully for billions of people every night without any aromatherapy at all. Use what helps, skip what doesn't. Sleep talking or somnoloquy is incredibly common. About half of children and 5% of adults do it occasionally. It can happen during any sleep stage and ranges from meaningless mumbling to full sentences. Usually, sleep talking is harmless and infrequent, triggered by stress, fever, or sleep deprivation. What people say while sleep talking is typically random and shouldn't be taken as revealing hidden truths. Your sleeping brain isn't accessing some deeper honesty. It's just producing semi-random fragments. If you sleep talk, you probably don't know unless someone tells you. If you sleep with someone who sleep talks, it's usually just amusing background noise, though occasionally, it can be disruptive. There's no treatment needed unless it's severely disturbing sleep. It's just another reminder that sleep isn't a simple off state but a complex condition where your brain remains active, sometimes producing strange outputs, little glitches in the night. Sleep inertia is worse when you're sleep deprived because waking from deep sleep, which occurs more when you haven't been sleeping enough, produces stronger grogginess. This creates a cruel irony. When you need sleep most, waking feels hardest. Your brain is desperate to get back to the deep sleep it was pulled from, making everything feel sluggish and difficult. Understanding this can bring compassion for those difficult mornings when you hit snooze repeatedly, barely able to open your eyes. You're not lazy. You're physiologically in a state where your brain is screaming to return to sleep. The solution, of course, is adequate regular sleep so you're not constantly recovering from deprivation. But on those hard mornings, be gentle with yourself. Give yourself time, light, maybe cold water on your face, and know that the fog will lift. Your brain just needs a few minutes to fully make the transition from sleep to wake. That's normal, not failure. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, is considered the first-line treatment for chronic insomnia, more effective long-term than sleeping pills. CBTI addresses the thoughts and behaviors that prevent good sleep through techniques like sleep restriction, stimulus control, cognitive restructuring, and relaxation training. It typically involves working with a therapist for several weeks, tracking sleep patterns, and gradually changing habits and thought patterns around sleep. Studies show CBTI works for about 70–80% of people, and improvements last long after treatment ends because you're learning skills, not relying on medication. This isn't quick or easy. It requires effort and patience. But for people with chronic insomnia, it can be truly life-changing. If you've struggled with sleep for months or years, this is worth exploring. Insomnia often feels insurmountable, but effective treatments exist, and many people who thought they'd never sleep well again have found relief through CBTI. Sleep is when your brain consolidates emotional memories, particularly during REM sleep. This is why sleeping on it before making emotional decisions is good advice. Sleep literally helps you process feelings and gain perspective. However, REM sleep also seems to strip away some of the emotional charge from memories, allowing you to remember events without reliving the full emotional intensity. This is part of why, after a painful event, each day often feels slightly easier. Your sleeping brain has been processing, each night taking a bit more of the edge off. For people with PTSD, this process sometimes malfunctions, and the emotional intensity doesn't decrease normally, which is part of why nightmares and flashbacks persist. But for most people, sleep is gently, gradually helping you carry difficult memories with less pain. Your sleeping brain is a tender caretaker of your emotional well-being, working quietly each night to help you bear what you need to bear. You've listened to so many facts now, learned so much about sleep. Maybe you're still consciously following along, or maybe you've drifted in and out, catching some facts and missing others. Either way is absolutely perfect. Learning isn't the goal here, rest is. If information helps you rest, wonderful. If you've stopped really listening and these words are just soothing sounds now, even better. Your breathing has probably slowed naturally. Your body has probably relaxed in ways you haven't consciously noticed. That's your nervous system doing what it knows how to do, downshifting towards sleep. Trust it, trust yourself. Let go a little more. There's nothing to hold on to, nothing to figure out. Just this moment, just this breath, just this gentle drift. The pineal gland, which produces melatonin, has fascinated philosophers and scientists for centuries. Descartes called it the seat of the soul, believing it was the point of connection between mind and body. While we now know it's not mystically special, it does have a unique role. It's your body's timekeeper, translating light signals into hormonal messages about time of day. This tiny pine cone-shaped gland deep in your brain responds to darkness by releasing melatonin, initiating the cascade of changes that prepare you for sleep. In some animals, like certain reptiles, it's positioned close to the skull surface and functions as a literal third eye, detecting light directly. In humans, it works through neural pathways from the eyes. There's something poetic about having a tiny organ whose sole purpose is telling you when darkness has arrived and rest should follow. Your body has built-in wisdom, ancient structures designed to guide you toward the sleep you need. Sleeping pills, while sometimes necessary, come with trade-offs that are important to understand. Most prescription sleep medications don't produce natural sleep architecture. They sedate you, which isn't quite the same as organic sleep. You may lose consciousness, but you often get less deep sleep and REM sleep, the stages that matter most for restoration and memory. You build tolerance, needing higher doses over time, and can develop dependence, where sleep becomes nearly impossible without medication. There's also next-day grogginess, impaired memory, and for some medications, concerning behaviors like sleep eating or sleep driving with no memory afterward. None of this means sleeping pills are evil or should never be used. Sometimes they're necessary, life-saving even, but they're best used short-term or intermittently, not as a permanent solution. If you use them, do so under medical guidance and without shame. And if you're here hoping to sleep without them, know that's possible, that your body knows how to sleep naturally. That patience and good sleep practices can often restore what feels broken. Sleep deprivation has been used throughout history as a torture technique because it's devastatingly effective at breaking down mental functioning without leaving physical marks. Extended wakefulness causes hallucinations, paranoia, impaired judgment, and eventually psychosis. The current record for voluntary sleep deprivation is 11 days, set in 1964, and the participant experienced severe cognitive and behavioral changes. You'll never accidentally reach dangerous levels of sleep deprivation, because your body will eventually force sleep through microsleeps or complete collapse. But the fact that lack of sleep is so destructive highlights how essential it truly is. This isn't meant to scare you, but to validate your experience if you've been chronically sleep deprived. If you felt like you're falling apart, struggling mentally and emotionally, and you haven't been sleeping well, those things are connected. Sleep isn't optional or indulgent. It's foundational, and suffering from its absence is completely legitimate. The default mode network, a set of brain regions active during wakeful rest and mind wandering, shows interesting activity during sleep. During REM sleep, the default mode network is active, which might relate to dreaming, to the internal narrative quality of dreams where you have a sense of self and story. During deep non-REM sleep, activity in this network is reduced, corresponding to the absence of narrative dreams. This network is also crucial for memory consolidation and creative problem solving, which might explain why sleep facilitates both. Your brain's default mode is essentially introspection, self-reflection, and making connections between disparate ideas. Sleep allows this system to work without external input, freely associating, discovering patterns, solving problems in ways that conscious, focused thought cannot. Some of your best ideas will come not from trying but from sleeping, from giving your default mode network time to wander and connect in the darkness. Body temperature rhythm is tightly coupled with your sleep-wake cycle. Your core temperature drops throughout the night, reaching its lowest point around 4 or 5 in the morning, then rising toward waking. This isn't just correlated with sleep. It's part of what drives sleep. Your body initiates sleep partly by redistributing heat from core to periphery, which is why warm hands and feet signal sleep readiness, while a warm core keeps you awake. This is also why vigorous exercise late at night can delay sleep. It raises core temperature at exactly the wrong time. Understanding this helps explain why sometimes you can't sleep until you stick a foot out from under the blanket, why a cold room helps, why a hot bath helps only if you get out and cool down afterward. Your body is constantly making tiny temperature adjustments, steering itself toward wakefulness or sleep, and you can work with this system rather than against it by managing your thermal environment thoughtfully. The relationship between sleep and pain is bidirectional and powerful. Poor sleep lowers your pain threshold, making you more sensitive to pain, while chronic pain disrupts sleep, creating a vicious cycle. Sleep deprivation affects the brain's pain processing centers, essentially amplifying pain signals. Conversely, good sleep has mild analgesic effects, raising your pain tolerance. For people with chronic pain conditions, this creates a difficult situation where pain prevents sleep, and lack of sleep worsens pain. Breaking this cycle often requires addressing both simultaneously: pain management to improve sleep, and sleep improvement to reduce pain sensitivity. If you live with chronic pain and sleep poorly, know that this isn't your fault and it's not something you can simply push through. It's a legitimate medical challenge requiring compassionate, comprehensive treatment. Tonight, if pain is part of your experience, I hope you find whatever comfort is possible. Whatever position and support eases the burden even slightly, allowing whatever rest can arrive. Certain foods might help promote sleep because they contain sleep-relevant compounds. Tryptophan, an amino acid found in turkey, dairy, nuts, and seeds, is a precursor to serotonin and melatonin. Cherries naturally contain melatonin. Complex carbohydrates can increase tryptophan availability to the brain. Magnesium, found in leafy greens, nuts, and whole grains, helps regulate neurotransmitters involved in sleep. However, no single food is a magic sleep cure. Effects are modest and work best as part of overall healthy eating patterns. It's more important to avoid sleep-disrupting substances like caffeine close to bedtime, heavy meals late at night, or excessive alcohol. But there's something comforting in the idea that what you eat can gently support your sleep, that nourishing your body during the day helps it rest at night. Food and sleep are both forms of care, ways you sustain the body that carries you through life. Every choice to feed yourself well is also a choice that might help you sleep better. Infants spend about 50% of their sleep time in REM, compared to about 20–25% for adults. This high proportion of REM sleep is thought to support the enormous brain development happening in early life, forming neural connections, processing the overwhelming amount of new information babies encounter daily. As we age, REM percentage decreases, and total sleep need decreases. Elderly adults often return to more fragmented sleep patterns somewhat reminiscent of infancy, though for different reasons. Aging affects sleep architecture, making deep sleep shorter and lighter, increasing nighttime awakenings. This arc across a lifetime, from the long, dream-heavy sleep of infancy through the consolidated sleep of adulthood to the lighter, more interrupted sleep of old age, reflects how our changing brains and bodies have different sleep needs at different stages. Where you are in that arc influences what good sleep looks like for you, and honoring your life stage rather than comparing yourself to others is a kindness you can offer yourself. The military's sleep discipline practices recognize that while optimal sleep is ideal, operational demands sometimes require functioning on less. They've developed strategies for managing sleep debt, banking sleep before deprivation periods, tactical naps, stimulants used strategically and temporarily, and aggressive recovery sleep afterward. What's instructive is that sleep deprivation is acceptable, it's clearly harmful, but that when it's unavoidable, specific strategies can mitigate damage and recovery is possible with intention. If you've gone through a period of terrible sleep due to circumstances beyond your control, a newborn, a crisis, illness, you can recover. Your body is resilient. Prioritize sleep when you can, be strategic with rest when you can't, and know that while sleep debt has consequences, they're not always permanent. Your brain and body want to heal, want to return to balance, and they will give an opportunity and time. You're not irreparably damaged by past bad sleep. You can begin again, starting tonight. Sleep spindles have been called sleep signature, a distinctive marker visible on sleep EEG readings. These brief bursts of brain activity occur primarily during stage 2 sleep, and are thought to reflect thalamic cortical communication during memory consolidation. Interestingly, sleep spindle activity increases following intensive learning and correlates with IQ and learning ability. People with higher spindle density tend to be more resistant to noise disturbance during sleep, meaning these spindles might also serve a protective function, gating out external stimuli to preserve sleep. Your brain is incredibly active during sleep, generating these spindles, cycling through rhythms, coordinating activity across regions. It's not passive shutdown, it's a different kind of consciousness, a state where your brain does essential work unavailable during waking. When you sleep, you're not checking out of life. You're engaging in a different form of living, equally important, equally necessary, equally real. Paradoxical insomnia, formerly called sleep state misperception, is a condition where people report sleeping much less than objective measurements show. They might say they barely slept all night, yet sleep studies reveal 7 hours of sleep. This isn't lying or exaggeration. It's a genuine perceptual phenomenon where the subjective experience of sleeplessness is real even though sleep is occurring. The cause isn't fully understood but might relate to sleeping in lighter stages more, or to heightened awareness of brief awakenings that fragment the sense of continuous sleep. This matters because suffering is based on subjective experience. If you feel like you haven't slept, you suffer the anxiety and distress of sleeplessness, even if your body got rest. Treatment focuses on addressing the distress and perception as much as the sleep itself. If you sometimes feel you slept terribly despite spending adequate time in bed, you might be getting more sleep than you realize, even though your suffering is real and valid. Both things can be true simultaneously. Sleep bruxism, grinding or clenching your teeth during sleep, affects about 8% of adults and often goes unnoticed by the person doing it unless a bed partner mentions it or a dentist sees wear patterns on teeth. It's associated with stress, anxiety, certain medications, and sleep disorders like apnea. Severe bruxism can cause jaw pain, headaches, and tooth damage. Treatment might involve stress reduction, a dental guard to protect teeth, or addressing underlying sleep disorders. Mild bruxism is often harmless and may not require intervention. What's interesting is that it represents the body's stress manifesting during sleep, tension literally grinding through your jaw while you're unconscious. If you wake with jaw pain or headaches, bruxism might be the cause. Your sleeping body carrying the stress your waking mind tries to manage. It's another reminder that mind and body aren't separate, that emotional states have physical expressions, and that caring for one means caring for both. More than halfway through now, though it doesn't matter where we are in the journey. Time might feel different now than when you started, looser, less defined, harder to track. That's good. That's your mind softening, boundaries blurring, the sharpness of waking consciousness beginning to dissolve. Let it happen. You don't need to keep track of where you are in this video, don't need to know how much is left. Just be here now in this moment, comfortable and still. Your body is so heavy now, sinking into your mattress, warm and safe. Keep letting go, keep releasing. Keep trusting that sleep knows how to find you and you don't need to do anything but stop resisting. Seasonal changes affect sleep patterns, with many people sleeping longer in winter when nights are longer and daylight is reduced. Before electric lighting, humans in temperate climates naturally slept more in winter, perhaps an extra hour or two nightly, and less in summer. Modern life with artificial light obscures these seasonal rhythms, but many people still feel sleepier in winter and more energetic in summer even if actual sleep duration stays constant. Seasonal affective disorder, SAD, a type of depression triggered by reduced daylight in fall and winter, is partly a circadian rhythm and melatonin regulation issue. Light therapy, exposure to bright light, especially in the morning, is an effective treatment for SAD, helping reset circadian rhythms and reduce excessive daytime melatonin. If you feel sleepier in winter, that's not laziness. It's an ancient biological response to shorter days. Honoring that by allowing a bit more sleep when possible aligns you with natural rhythms that your body still remembers. REM sleep behavior disorder is a condition where the normal paralysis of REM sleep doesn't occur, causing people to physically act out their dreams. Unlike sleepwalking, which happens during non-REM sleep, REM behavior disorder involves often violent movements, punching, kicking, leaping from bed, reflecting dream content. It's more common in older adults, particularly men, and is sometimes an early sign of neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's. It can be dangerous, causing injuries to the sleeper or bed partner. Treatment usually involves making the sleep environment safer, and sometimes medication to reduce movement. What's fascinating is what this reveals about sleep's architecture. That paralysis during REM is an active process that can fail, that your dreaming mind would move your body if not for this protective mechanism. Most of us never notice this paralysis because it works seamlessly, but it's there every night, keeping you safe from your dreams. The sleep debt metaphor, while useful, is somewhat misleading because sleep doesn't work like a bank account. You can't simply sleep 2 extra hours on Sunday to make up for 2 hours lost on Friday and be completely restored. Some effects of sleep loss are quickly recovered, while others take longer, and some cumulative effects of chronic sleep restriction may not be fully reversible. One night of good sleep after several bad nights helps, certainly, but it doesn't completely erase what came before. This isn't meant to discourage you, but to emphasize that regular, consistent sleep is more valuable than erratic sleep with occasional catch-up. If you've been sleeping poorly for a while, don't expect one good night to fix everything. But do know that starting tonight, every night of adequate sleep is cumulative in a positive direction, slowly rebuilding what was depleted, gradually restoring balance. Progress happens night by night, breath by breath, like you're breathing now. Core body temperature rhythm is so important to sleep-wake cycles that disrupting it through shift work or jet lag causes significant sleep problems. Your body temperature naturally drops in the evening, reaching minimum around 4 to 5 a.m., then rises toward waking. When you travel across time zones, your temperature rhythm lags behind the new clock time, creating the miserable experience of jet lag trying to sleep when your body temperature is rising, trying to wake when it's falling. It takes about a day per time zone crossed for your temperature rhythm to fully adjust. This is why westward travel, longer day, is usually easier than eastward, shorter day. It's easier for your body to delay its rhythms than advance them. If you don't travel but work night shifts, you're fighting this rhythm constantly, asking your body to do what it's biologically designed not to do. That's genuinely hard, and if you do it, you deserve recognition that you're working against powerful biology to meet life's demands. Microsleeps during monotonous tasks are your brain's desperate attempt to get the rest it needs. Driving on a long, straight highway, sitting in a boring meeting, watching something unstimulating. These situations can trigger microsleeps even if you're trying to stay awake. What's dangerous is that you often don't realize it's happening. You might have no memory of those lost seconds, or you rationalize them away as momentary distraction. This is why drowsy driving is so deadly. People don't realize how impaired they are until it's too late. If you've ever driven and suddenly realized you don't remember the last few miles, you were likely experiencing microsleeps. It's terrifying in retrospect, a reminder that you can't simply will yourself to stay awake indefinitely, that your brain will take sleep one way or another. The only solution is actual sleep, real rest, not more willpower or caffeine. Your brain is more powerful than your intentions, and when it needs sleep, it will find a way to get it. Exploding head syndrome, despite its alarming name, is classified as a parasomnia, an unusual behavior or experience during sleep transitions. It's more common in women and tends to appear in middle age, though anyone can experience it. Episodes can cluster, happening multiple times in a week, then vanish for months or years. Stress and irregular sleep schedules seem to trigger it. There's no treatment because it's harmless, though if it causes anxiety about sleep, that secondary stress might need addressing. Parasomnias are strange reminders that sleep is complex, that the transition between waking and sleeping is neurologically intricate, and that occasionally, things misfire in bizarre but benign ways. Your brain is an ancient, imperfect organ doing its best to navigate states of consciousness that are fundamentally different. Most of the time, it works beautifully. Occasionally, you get strange experiences like exploding head syndrome, lucid dreams, hypnic jerks, little glitches in a generally reliable system, quirks you can greet with curiosity rather than fear. Adenosine, the chemical that builds sleep pressure, is actually a byproduct of cellular energy use. Every cell in your body uses ATP, adenosine triphosphate, for energy. And when ATP is broken down, adenosine is released. The longer your brain is awake and active, the more adenosine accumulates, binding to receptors that make you feel increasingly drowsy. During sleep, adenosine is cleared away, resetting your system for wakefulness. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors, preventing you from feeling the sleepiness that's biochemically present. This is elegant in its simplicity. Your body tracks how long you've been awake through the accumulation of a metabolic byproduct, automatically building pressure to rest. You don't have to remember to get tired. Your cells remember for you, sending an increasingly urgent signal that it's time to stop and restore. Tonight, that adenosine has likely built to significant levels, which is why sleep probably feels close, why your body is ready, why rest is calling to you. Sleep spindles are generated by the thalamus, a deep brain structure that acts as a relay station for sensory information. During sleep, the thalamus essentially closes its gates, reducing how much external information reaches your cortex, protecting your sleep from disruption. Spindles appear to be part of this process, helping maintain sleep stability while allowing the memory consolidation that happens during stage 2 sleep. People with certain psychiatric conditions, like schizophrenia, show altered sleep spindle patterns, suggesting spindles play a role in healthy cognitive functioning beyond just sleep itself. It's remarkable how many specialized processes happen during sleep, how many types of brain activity that look completely different from waking consciousness. Sleep isn't emptiness, it's fullness of a different kind, rich with activity and purpose, just quieter, more internal, invisible to your conscious awareness but essential nonetheless. The two-process model predicts that you'll feel most alert not in the morning after waking, but actually in the evening, a few hours before your usual bedtime. This is because sleep pressure is still relatively low. It dissipates during sleep and only gradually rebuilds. While your circadian alerting signal is strong, it peaks in the evening. This explains why you might feel groggy in the morning despite having just slept, and energetic in the evening despite having been awake all day. It's also why staying up a bit past your usual bedtime often brings a second wind. Your circadian rhythm is still promoting wakefulness, even though sleep pressure is high. Understanding this helps you time your activities appropriately. Need to do something cognitively demanding. Late afternoon or early evening is often best. Having trouble falling asleep? Make sure you're not trying to sleep during your circadian peak alertness. Your biology has rhythms, and working with them is easier than fighting them. Sleep plays a crucial role in immune system function beyond just fighting off infections. It's also involved in how your body remembers pathogens. When you're vaccinated or exposed to a pathogen, your immune system creates memory cells that recognize that threat in the future. Sleep enhances this immunological memory formation. Studies show that people who sleep well after vaccination produce stronger antibody responses than those who don't. Sleep also influences chronic inflammation, with poor sleep associated with higher inflammatory markers linked to diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. Every night of good sleep, is literally bolstering your immune system, helping your body defend against threats, and reducing harmful inflammation. You're not just resting when you sleep, you're actively maintaining the systems that keep you healthy. It's preventive medicine, accessible every night, requiring nothing but time and the willingness to let yourself rest. Hypnagogic hallucinations are vivid sensory experiences, visual, auditory, or tactile, that occur while falling asleep, while hypnopompic hallucinations occur while waking up. You might see patterns, shapes, faces, hear voices or music, or feel sensations like falling or floating. These are completely normal, especially in the threshold between waking and sleeping, when your brain is transitioning between states. They're more vivid and common in children and sleep-deprived adults. Sometimes they're brief and forgotten. Other times, they're memorable and strange. They're essentially micro-dreams, your brain's visual and auditory systems activating as consciousness fades. If you experience them, there's no reason for concern. It's just your brain practicing sleep before fully committing, testing the waters of dreaming before diving in. Some people find them fascinating, even enjoyable. These little glimpses into the surreal state your mind will spend the next few hours inhabiting. The myth that you swallow spiders in your sleep is completely false and likely originated as an example of how easily false information spreads. Spiders have no reason to crawl into sleeping mouths, and the vibrations of your breathing would actually repel them. This myth persists despite being absurd because it's memorable and slightly horrifying. It's a useful reminder to be skeptical of sleep facts you hear, to check sources, to distinguish folklore from science. Sleep is surrounded by myths and misconceptions about dreams, about sleep needs, about what's normal, and sorting truth from fiction matters if you want to make informed decisions about your own rest. But tonight, let go of worrying about spiders or any other myths. You're safe, your sleep is yours, and nothing is going to disturb you unless you let worry about imaginary threats do so. Your bedroom is your sanctuary, and sleep is your natural birthright. Such a long journey we've taken together through these facts about sleep. Your mind has absorbed so much, even if you don't remember specific details. That's the beauty of this, you don't need to remember. The information is there whether you're consciously tracking it or not, and the more important effect is the cumulative one. Relaxation, comfort, the gradual transition towards sleep. Feel how different your body might feel now compared to when you started. Heavier, warmer, more settled. Or maybe you feel the same, and that's fine too. There's no requirement to change or transform. Just keep breathing, keep resting, keep allowing this time to unfold exactly as it will. You're so close now to wherever sleep will find you. Let yourself drift closer. The circadian clock exists not just in your brain, but in nearly every cell of your body. Liver cells, muscle cells, fat cells, they all have their own molecular clocks that cycle roughly every 24 hours, regulating when genes turn on and off. Your brain's master clock in the suprachiasmatic nucleus coordinates all these peripheral clocks, keeping your body's trillions of cells synchronized. When you disrupt your circadian rhythm through shift work or jet lag, you're not just confusing your brain, you're desynchronizing countless cellular processes throughout your body. This internal coordination explains why circadian disruption affects so many aspects of health. metabolism, cardiovascular function, immune response, mental health. Your body is a symphony of rhythms all playing together, and when they fall out of sync, the music becomes dissonant. Respecting your circadian rhythm by maintaining consistent sleep-wake times isn't just about feeling better. It's about keeping your entire body harmonized. The ancient practice of yoga nidra, sometimes called yogic sleep, is a guided meditation technique that leads practitioners into a state between waking and sleeping. Brainwave patterns during yoga nidra show characteristics of both waking and sleeping states, particularly the alpha and theta waves associated with deep relaxation and light sleep. Practitioners report profound rest, sometimes claiming that 30 minutes of yoga nidra equals several hours of regular sleep, though this is difficult to verify scientifically. What's clear is that yoga nidra provides deep rest even if you don't fully fall asleep, activating the parasympathetic nervous system and reducing stress hormones. Whether it replaces sleep is questionable, but it certainly offers a valuable rest state, especially for people who struggle with traditional sleep. There are many doorways to rest, many states between alertness and unconsciousness, and finding the ones that work for you expands your options for restoration beyond conventional sleep alone. Sleepwalking has produced some remarkably complex behaviors: people cooking meals, driving cars, even committing crimes, all while genuinely asleep with no memory afterward. Legal cases have addressed sleepwalking as a defense for behaviors committed while in a parasomnia state. While most sleepwalking involves simple behaviors like walking around or mumbling, the complexity possible is astonishing and reveals how much of human behavior is automatic, not requiring full consciousness. The sleepwalking brain activates motor systems and can even access procedural memories, like how to drive, while consciousness and memory formation remain offline. It's simultaneously fascinating and unsettling, a reminder that consciousness is not as unified as it feels, that different brain systems can activate independently, that you are really a coalition of processes that usually work together but don't always. Most people will never experience dramatic sleepwalking, but these extreme cases reveal something profound about how your brain constructs the experience you call consciousness. Power naps in the early afternoon align well with a natural dip in circadian alertness that most people experience around 2 to 3 p.m., sometimes called the post-lunch dip, though it happens regardless of eating. This dip is physiological, driven by circadian rhythm, which is why many cultures practice afternoon siestas. A brief nap during this window can provide significant benefit without disrupting nighttime sleep for most people. However, napping too late, after 4 p.m., for most people, can reduce nighttime sleep pressure, making falling asleep at bedtime more difficult. If you're someone who naps, timing matters. If you're someone who can't nap or worries it will ruin nighttime sleep, that's fine too. Not everyone needs or benefits from naps, and many people do perfectly well with consolidated nighttime sleep alone. There's no obligation to nap just because information suggests it might be beneficial. Do what actually works for your body and life. Sleep deprivation impairs your ability to recognize emotions in other people's faces, especially subtle expressions. This happens because the sleep-deprived brain shows reduced activity in regions involved in emotional processing and increased activity in the amygdala, the fear center, making you more likely to perceive neutral or ambiguous expressions as threatening. This is part of why sleep deprivation makes social interactions harder. You're literally less able to accurately read the emotional states of people around you, more likely to misinterpret, more likely to perceive threat where none exists. Combined with your own emotional dysregulation from tiredness, this creates a perfect storm for social difficulty and conflict. If you've ever noticed that everything feels harder and people seem more annoying when you're tired, this is part of why. It's not just that you're grumpy. Your perception is actually altered. Sleep restores not just your own emotional balance but your ability to accurately perceive others' emotions, facilitating smoother social connection. The Huberman sleep schedule and other polyphasic sleep patterns, where instead of one long sleep, you take multiple short naps throughout the day, are sometimes promoted as ways to reduce total sleep time while maintaining function. The idea is that by napping frequently, you enter REM and deep sleep more quickly, getting the important stages without wasting time in lighter stages. While some people claim success with polyphasic sleep, scientific evidence suggests most people function worse, and it's extremely difficult to maintain given social and work obligations. Your body evolved for consolidated sleep, and while flexibility exists, radically fragmenting sleep typically impairs performance and health. If you're considering polyphasic sleep to save time, consider instead that sleep is not time wasted but time invested, that the hours spent sleeping return dividends in every waking hour. You can't outsmart your biology indefinitely. Sometimes the most efficient path is simply honoring what your body needs, even when that feels inconvenient. Sleep architecture changes across the night in predictable ways. The first third of the night is rich in deep slow-wave sleep, when your body does most of its physical restoration. The last third is REM-heavy, when most vivid dreaming occurs. This is why being woken by an alarm often interrupts a dream. You're likely in REM when your alarm goes off. It's also why cutting sleep short by even an hour or two disproportionately reduces REM sleep, since you're losing from the REM-rich end of the night. Each sleep stage serves different functions, and you need the full night to get adequate amounts of each. Someone sleeping 6 hours gets less deep sleep than someone sleeping 8, but they lose even more REM proportionally. This explains why sleep quality doesn't scale linearly. Losing a little sleep loses a lot of the most valuable stages. Tonight, if you can, give yourself the gift of enough time in bed to complete all your cycles, to let your brain and body move through the full arc of sleep's architecture from deep restoration to vivid dreaming and back again. Restless legs syndrome, RLS, is a neurological condition causing uncomfortable sensations in the legs, often described as crawling, tingling, or aching, that create an irresistible urge to move them. It typically worsens in the evening and during periods of inactivity, making falling asleep extremely difficult. Movement temporarily relieves the sensation, but lying still to sleep is nearly impossible during an episode. RLS is associated with iron deficiency, pregnancy, certain medications, and kidney disease, though often no clear cause is identified. Treatment might involve iron supplementation, medication, or lifestyle changes. If you have RLS, you know how maddening it is, how it steals sleep and leaves you exhausted and frustrated. If you don't have it, it might be hard to understand how profoundly disruptive it is. For people with RLS listening to this, I hope tonight is a calm night, a night when your legs allow you peace, when stillness is possible, when rest can finally come. Lucid dreaming isn't just entertaining, it has potential therapeutic applications. Some therapists use lucid dreaming techniques to help people with recurrent nightmares, teaching them to become aware they're dreaming and change the dream's outcome. Athletes use lucid dreaming for mental rehearsal, practicing skills while asleep. Some evidence suggests lucid dreaming might help with motor skill learning, problem solving, and reducing nightmare frequency in PTSD. However, deliberately inducing lucid dreams isn't always easy or successful, and for some people, the techniques disrupt sleep more than the lucid dreams benefit them. As with most sleep-related phenomena, individual variation is huge. Some people lucid dream spontaneously and enjoy it. Others never do and don't care. Neither experience is better or worse. They're just different ways of experiencing the strange country of sleep, different paths through the nighttime landscape of consciousness. Dreams don't occur in real time. They're often compressed or expanded versions of time. A dream that feels like hours might occur in minutes, or a brief dream might feel instantaneous. Time perception during dreams is notoriously unreliable because the brain regions that track time aren't functioning normally during sleep. This compression might be part of how dreams serve memory consolidation. Your brain can replay and process hours of experiences in much shorter spans by removing the temporal filler, focusing on essential elements. It's also why dream narratives can be so nonsensical. Events happen in impossible orders, cause and effect break down, and yet within the dream, it all makes sense. Your sleeping brain doesn't care about consistency or logic. It's doing different work, making different connections, following different rules than your waking mind. Dreams are your brain's avant-garde theater, experimental and strange, doing things conventional narrative consciousness never attempts. The feeling of falling asleep can be experienced as a kind of letting go or surrender, a conscious release of control as you drift into unconsciousness. Some people find this pleasant and easy, others find it scary, especially those with anxiety or trauma. The loss of control implicit in falling asleep can trigger anxiety in people who feel unsafe or need to remain vigilant. This is part of why trauma disrupts sleep so profoundly. The relaxation required for sleep conflicts with the hypervigilance trauma creates. If falling asleep feels scary to you, that's a real challenge, not something to dismiss or minimize. It might help to create maximum safety cues in your environment: locked doors, comforting objects, predictable routines that help your nervous system feel safe enough to let go. Sleep requires vulnerability, trust that you'll be okay while unconscious, and if your life has taught you that vulnerability is dangerous, relearning that sleep is safe takes time, patience, and often professional support. Sleep need is partly genetic, determined by variants in several genes that affect circadian rhythms, sleep pressure accumulation, and how your body responds to sleep deprivation. Some people are genetically short sleepers, genuinely thriving on 6 hours or less with no apparent health consequences. This is rare, probably 1 to 3% of the population, but real. Most people claiming to be short sleepers are actually chronically sleep deprived and experiencing impairments they don't recognize. Conversely, some people are genetically long sleepers, needing 9 or 10 hours to function optimally. There's also genetic variation in chronotype, whether you're a morning person or night owl. Understanding that much of your sleep is genetically influenced can bring self-compassion. If you struggle with early mornings while others bounce out of bed, it's not moral failure, it's biology. You can work with your genetic predispositions, but you can't entirely override them. Know yourself, honor what your particular body needs, and stop comparing yourself to people with different genetic blueprints. And here we are, near the end of our journey through the science of sleep. We've wandered together through so many facts, so many discoveries, from the molecular machinery of adenosine to the evolutionary origins of circadian rhythms, from the stages of sleep architecture to the strange phenomena like exploding head syndrome and lucid dreams. Maybe you've listened closely to every word, or maybe you drifted in and out, catching pieces like fragments of a half-remembered dream. Both are perfect. Both are exactly what this space was meant for. What I hope you take from tonight, if you take anything at all, is a sense of wonder at the complexity and beauty of sleep. It's not laziness or wasted time. It's not something to minimize or fight or feel guilty about needing. Sleep is as fundamental to your existence as breathing, as eating, as anything you do. Every creature with a nervous system sleeps. Your brain cleanses itself during sleep, consolidates memories, processes emotions, solves problems. Your body heals, your immune system strengthens, your metabolism regulates. All of this happens automatically when you simply close your eyes and let go. You don't have to try to make sleep work. It knows what to do. Your job is just to create the conditions, to give yourself permission, to stop fighting and start trusting. If you've struggled with sleep, I hope hearing about its science brings some comfort. Maybe understanding the two-process model helps you see that your sleepiness isn't random, but governed by predictable systems. Maybe knowing about sleep stages helps you appreciate that every cycle matters, every hour contributes something. Maybe learning about circadian rhythms helps you see that your tiredness isn't personal failure but biological reality. Ancient systems trying to function in a modern world that often works against them. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're human with a human body that has needs, and sleep is one of the most fundamental. I want to thank you for being here tonight, for giving yourself this time, for prioritizing rest in a world that often seems to glorify exhaustion. That choice matters. It matters for your health, your mood, your relationships, your ability to be present in your life. Every night that you honor your need for sleep is an act of self-respect, a recognition that you deserve care, that your well-being is important. Not so you can be more productive tomorrow, though you will be, but because you matter, because rest is inherently valuable, because your body serves you every moment of your life and deserves to be served in return. As this video comes to a close, know that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to move, don't have to turn anything off, don't have to make any decisions. Just stay right where you are, in whatever comfort you found. Let your breathing remain slow and easy. Let your body remain heavy and still. If sleep is close, welcome it. If sleep feels far away still, that's okay too. Sometimes it takes time, and time is what you have. There's no rush, no pressure, no expectation. This moment is yours, and whatever unfolds from here is exactly right. If you've enjoyed this journey and think it might help others find their way to peaceful sleep, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe or leave a like. It helps other tired minds find this gentle space. But don't worry about it right now. There's time for that later if you remember and want to. Right now, just rest. Thank you for trusting me with your time tonight, for letting my voice be part of your journey towards sleep. I hope you find the deep, restorative rest you need. I hope you dream beautifully, or don't dream at all if that's what serves you best. I hope you wake tomorrow feeling refreshed, renewed, ready for whatever the day brings. And I hope you remember, even in your busy waking hours, that sleep isn't something to sacrifice or shortchange. It's a gift, one you give yourself every night, a return to the fundamental rhythm of rest that every living being shares. So close your eyes now if they're not already closed. Let this be the last thing you hear tonight, the last thought you hold as you drift away. You are safe. You are exactly where you need to be. Sleep will come when it comes, and you don't have to do anything but allow it. Your body knows the way. It's traveled this path thousands of times, and it will carry you there again tonight. Trust it. Trust yourself. Trust the ancient, beautiful process of letting go into sleep. Good night, gentle soul. Rest well. You've earned it.